Hello, everyone. This is United World of Sports. I'm Dante Suave. This is my co-host, Mr. J.
What's going on, everybody? It is the best time of year right now. Definitely always one of my favorite times of the year. March Madness is here.
You got March Madness. You got NFL free agency,
Which was also madness.
Depending on who your team is, you got a lot going on. Got a lot going on in the NBA. But speaking of the NBA, that's where we're going to start to this point. How are you evaluating how all the trades played out with the Warriors, the Lakers, and obviously the Mavs was a.
The Mavs, I just saw today that they're sending Davis down to the G League in order to get ready to come back. I don't think it's a good idea, but they're going to get him some playing time with the last couple of weeks of the season. So I'm not too Mavs. No, Lakers have went from being a question mark to where they can. I don't know. I can't. And as a Lakers fan, I don't know. If LeBron comes back and he's not hampered by the groin injury, which some people are saying that he shouldn't be in that aspect of it, they could go to the finals. They could catch somebody. They can catch one of these young teams slipping and go that far, and they can be a first round casualty. It all depends because you got two players that are stars that have injury problems.
And okay, so. Obviously, I haven't been able to watch a game, but from what I've been noticing of what has been described in games and like the way the players have been being described, is it just me or are the players playing better with LeBron out?
They're playing slightly better with LeBron out because they got a little bit more freedom in that aspect of what they can do, but it's not. It's a slight difference. It's a slight difference because you can tell how much LeBron is needed in the fact of when he went down, it went on a 4-game skid, and then everybody gets right against Phoenix right now. So yesterday was hilarious hearing KD sitting up there talking about you still ain't gonna make it to the playoffs. That shows he's impervious to what's going on. They caught him on audio during the game telling Luka you're still not gonna make it to the playoffs, even though there are the 5 seed and Phoenix is the ones that's not even in the playoffs right now. So yeah, that shut up and ball kind of mentality comes into play with that. But
I mean, okay,
but I don't.
We'll talk about KD in a minute because you just made me think about something that happened during that game that I heard about.
Mm-hmm.
But let's start off with a quote that I sent you that I said I definitely wanted to talk about because all this talk about LeBron being the GOAT, all this talk about all that he has done for the game, which isn't completely untrue, but I want to go to one particular part, and I'm glad KD came up because KD has something to do with this. What does he have to do with it, you ask? Well, he went to the Warriors, and he won some rings, and had him and Draymond gotten along better, he'd probably still be there.
Yeah.
And they probably would have won more championships.
Mm-hmm.
But people, they bash him for going there.
Yep.
But yet everybody gets conditional amnesia, we'll call it.
Yeah.
Conditional amnesia.
Yeah.
Even after Dwayne Wade came out and said how the Miami Heat ended up being the Miami Heat.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about it, shall we? So Durant wants out of OKC. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
He decides to go to the Warriors. Out of all the teams, he decides to go to the Warriors.
Right.
Everybody goes, well, that's you went to the enemy that was beating you, so you couldn't beat them, so you joined them. Okay. He won 2 championships. He was an MVP for both.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I need somebody to walk me through how LeBron gets a pass when, as Dwayne Wade put it, him, LeBron, and Chris Bosh all agreed to link up.
Yep.
Last I checked, the only one that had any championship appearances or rings was Dwayne Wade.
Mm-hmm.
They were supposed to go to the Knicks. Since they didn't talk to the owner, the owner re-signed Amari. They didn't want to play with Amari, so they said, "Let's bring all the talent down
To South Beach.
to South Beach."
Yep.
Now I need to know, because that's two-star dudes that were on teams that were not making championship appearances.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, had he made a championship appearance?
He had made a championship appearance
And
with
they lost.
Cleveland, and they lost.
Okay. Got to make sure that the details is the details, right? So he went to. Actually, that works out because KD had done the same thing. He had went to a championship and he lost.
Yep. He had went to a championship and he lost with OKC against LeBron in Miami. So it makes sense.
So we got some parity there.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody please explain to me how LeBron gets a pass other than the fact that he's LeBron.
That's it. That's the only reason why he gets a pass. Because if you look at the history of it, if you really look at the history of what happened in that aspect of it, like you said, Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade got together with LeBron and said, after they had played in the Olympics together and came together and said, we're going to come together, we're going to play together. That's no different than, and remember, that was the whole banana boat joke that everybody had in there. So what's the difference between the banana boat and the Hampton group when Steph, Draymond, Andre Iguodala, all of them went to the Hamptons and met with KD when KD became a free agent and convinced KD that, yeah, you need to come down here and come with us. There's no difference. But the narrative will always be just like the narrative has always been in the aspect of it.
And let me bring up why I brought this up. The message I sent to him was something that Dwayne Wade said, and I quote from Goatman23 posted it online yesterday. So he said, "I made LeBron a champion. LeBron needed me, not the other way around. Keep in mind, I was already a champion," which he was.
Yeah.
He had went to 2. He pulled a Peyton Manning. He went to 2. He won 1.
Mm-hmm.
So, why does Durant get drugged, and yet LeBron he can do no wrong, but yet let somebody that is a fan of Jordan have the same energy and forget certain things about his career, and you're dragging them through the mud? How
This goes back to the conversation that we had a couple of episodes ago about the Channing Frye thing,
Mm-hmm.
where Channing Frye was saying, why would anybody want to be the face of the league? They always getting their name included. They always getting their face ran in the mud. Everything else with that. You got an era of players that don't like to be criticized about anything. And then on top of that era of not wanting to be criticized by anything, they're highly sensitive when somebody compares them to somebody else, including their peers that they're currently going up against. If you want it to be to where you just playing basketball, you don't want to be compared to anybody, that's fine. But don't do things to where it drums up that conversation to where, oh, you're claiming to be the best in the game. You're pushing to be called the best in the game. You're pushing to be the top player in this era. You're pushing this aspect of it. And some of these players push those narratives out there, But then when it comes back to you with facts that prove against it, now you're sensitive. Now you're showing you're showing that you're not as hard and as tough as is in that aspect of it. You don't want nobody to criticize you, but you want all the praise. And when it comes to that aspect of when it comes to the situation with LeBron and the situation with KD, everybody kind of vilifies KD because he went to the Warriors, and out of all teams, he chose to go to the Warriors. Not looking at the fact of the Warriors who went and beat him, went after him, and was like, "We need you." Not him going to seek him out. If it would have been him picking, just saying like, you know what, out of all the teams out here, I'm gonna go to the Warriors without no meeting, then I can understand that aspect of it. But it's a documented fact. They went to visit him on the night that free agency started and said, "We're not leaving until you sign." They wanted him. And that's the core team. They were already together. They wanted to add him to that mix. If you look at it from LeBron's standpoint, Wade was there, but Wade was a pseudo free agent. Bosh was a free agent, and LeBron was a free agent. So they could have went anywhere. Like you said, the initial thought was, we're going to New York. So it's not like it was a team, a group of players went after them. This is a group of people that could go wherever they wanted to. They came together and said, we're all going to lock arms and go play together. So when you sent me that, I'm looking at it, and I've known this narrative for the longest time, being, like I said, West Coast bias, Lakers and Warriors fan. From seeing that dynamic of that, and I've went through the heartbreak of Draymond and KD not meshing to where it fell apart in that series against Toronto, and then they broke up. But at the end of the day, let's be real here. Has KD really done anything since he left the Warriors?
He has not. But speaking of KD, speaking of Draymond, he just went on a podcast and let something out the bag very interesting.
What?
The reason why he left wasn't the fact that they got into it. The reason why he got into it was because something happened on the court. Draymond messed up on the play.
Mm-hmm. Yep. He did. Yep. And that's known.
For some odd reason, when they got into it on the sideline, he said he would have been cool had they talked about it and squashed it. They never talked about it and squashed it. And even though other people felt the way he did, and they knew Draymond was wrong, didn't nobody say anything.
Nope.
And including the coach. And that's what rubbed him the wrong way and made him decide to leave. Because it's like, wait, we could have, okay, things were said. We could have squashed all that, but everybody just acted as if it didn't happen.
And that comes into the play of, like I've said, with that aspect of it. If you look at the number one reason why the Warriors are not the dynasty equivalent of what the Bulls was in the 90s and what the Spurs were in the early 2000s, of what they could have been in that aspect of it, there is one common denominator throughout the entire thing, and that is Mr. Draymond Green.
Which I have been called crazy because
you're not crazy.
He's another one of them players that I've been called crazy when I said if I had to pick and I'm getting rid of Draymond Green, I'm getting rid of KD. Now I know that KD does have a tendency sometimes his mouth opens and I'm just like, why are you talking?
Yeah.
But there's no mistaking him on that court. It's not a problem. No. Now, I get that Draymond, he's a defensive guy. He's awesome. I get that. But and I get that helps the Splash Brothers. I even get that. But in terms of having Another person that's a part of the big three that where he may be lacking in comparison on defense, but he coming with points.
Yep.
Give me KD.
Yeah.
I'll figure the other part of it out. We can figure the other part of it out. He has not been. Heck, even this whole thing where Thompson is sitting in Dallas. Me and you talked about it. I'm like, sign Thompson. You were like, yeah, but he fell off, and I'm like, I hear what you said, but I feel like another part of that reason why he fell off the way he did was not because of everything that happened, but it was because how he was treated. It's like, wait, he's a part of the Splash Brothers. Draymond's a part of Draymond's a part of the team. He's not a part of the reason why the Warriors had people called the Splash Brothers. That's Klay Thompson. Dude, figure out what you want to figure out. But if I got to pay somebody, Thompson was getting paid before, and at least see what happens. Now, if I'm wrong and he don't turn around, okay, I'll take that on the chin. We'll let him go we'll let him go when the contract's up. But you lost him. We don't know. Say what you want about Poole when Poole got to Washington. We know how he looked when he was with the Warriors,
and he was
and
developed
you now
that first year.
Don't know what he could have truly been, because he got into it with Draymond, and y'all sent him on his way. Now, granted, his game kind of fell apart. He wasn't the same person.
His ego killed his game. And that's what got him out. Because when you became the pseudo third Splash Brother, when it went from the Splash Brothers to the pool party, you were at the top of your game. All you had to, and they gave you the contract. All you had to do was work. You didn't work. You came back that last season thinking you was gonna pick up where you left off from the jump, from that incident. Part of me, I've always said this. Draymond was wrong for the situation, but Draymond exposed the bigger problem with Poole, because part of that argument that led to that was Poole's ego was out of control after winning that championship. And then once that blew up and he got chin checked, and it never was the same again.
And that to me, mentality.
Mm-hmm.
What is your mentality?
Yeah.
Are you going to hit success and lose your mind?
Yep.
Or are you going to go, okay, we got the success, now it's time to retool?
Yep.
And I also, it's probably going to be an unpopular, I'm going to say this, and then I want to try to wrap this up. Steve Kerr. I still say that Steve Kerr has to eat some of that. Whether it's the debacle to where they could have beaten the Bulls record.
Oh yeah.
But I go back to that, him laying in the cut and
thinking that they're gonna play their way through it.
And your boy, as talented as he is, he was having an off. Yeah, the off game would be putting it nicely.
Mm-hmm.
And you just sitting back in the cut. You ain't calling timeout. The analyst is sitting there
yelling at you like,
what are you doing? Call the timeout. Curry is clearly not able to hit the broadside of a barn. If you offered him more money, what are you doing? And he said it. He said, I do admit I do let them. I let them be themselves, and I let them work through things. And it's like, okay, well, congratulations. You guys could have done something historic, and because of that understandable, I get the premise of why you did it, but there's a reason why the ones that really dominate don't have that. They don't have that where they don't say anything. They say something. They may watch how they say it. They may try to make sure that they don't upset. But at the same time, most of the star players go, "Oh, coach,
Coach, what we doing?
yeah, you probably don't want to unless his name was Phil Jackson. It's like, yeah, coach, yeah, you don't want to mess up.
Yeah.
You could, they're not worried about that. But with that, there was another situation that came out. The way I see it, the way I see it from the games I've watched, I gotta be honest. I wonder if they would all be doing better with the Lakers. Sorry to jump back to something else, but with the Lakers, they would. I feel like they might be better because if they've showed so much improvement, especially since Doncic got there, because Doncic includes them more in the game.
Yep.
And even if they miss a shot, they know, oh, I got to be ready next time.
Mm-hmm.
Because even in the losses, Reeves has been playing.
Reeves has developed into their two players that have developed in the past month since this trade went down that I would have not imagined.
And the signs were always there. That's why I was always saying, trade Reeves. Why are you trading Reeves?
Nope.
No, keep him there. Don't move. You guys have made this mistake before. Leave him there. Leave him.
But you know what else the trade unlocked? Cincinnati's own Jackson Hayes. Jackson, you're seeing Jackson play the way that he played when he was at Moeller through college before he got drafted and went to New Orleans. You're seeing it. New Orleans, he was handcuffed because he was behind Ingram in that aspect of it. When he was able to come and sign a free agency and go to LA, he was signed as a backup to AD. AD, one of the biggest questions that I will always have in this aspect of it was if you knew you had somebody that was willing to play center in Jackson Hayes, why didn't you put Jackson Hayes in the starting lineup and move AD to power forward and have 2 7-footers?
And that might have been another reason why he kept screaming it. But
but now, because look at it, if you look at it, Jackson Hayes, ever since then, he's been averaging almost 19 and 5.
Yeah.
And been balling.
All right. So the other piece of Anthony Edwards then brought Magic Johnson out the woodwork.
I missed this one.
Yeah, I literally saw it like about an hour ago. So Anthony Edwards made some comments that brought some controversy. They claim that nobody in the league can jump the way he can.
Nobody in the league can jump that he can right now. Nobody in history can jump like he can.
Yeah, nobody in league history can jump high the way he can.
Didn't we just have an entire NBA All-Star celebration in San Francisco when they literally sat there and bowed at the feet of half man, half amazing Vince Carter?
Well, and so Magic went into it. So Magic went into it because he was on Byron Scott's podcast, and he told he basically said that he shouldn't keep attacking the older guys.
You better stop.
He said, don't attack the old school guys when you haven't done your homework. First of all, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Dr. J, Clyde Drexler, David Thompson, even before all of them, they could fly. And it's like, so slow down, bro, slow down. That's why I had to hit him with the reality check. Look, man, talk to me And see, this is that stuff that will make the younger generations totally ignore what he's trying to say, because he then went on to say this. He said, "Talk to me when you won something."
I'm looking at it right now. The quote from Magic Johnson was, "I never respond to a guy that's never won a championship. He didn't win a college championship. I don't know if he even won a high school championship."
See, and I don't have all that here. Whoever wrote this story, they left that out, and they left that out. Here it sounds more, other than the whole "talk to me when you won something." For the most part, it sounds respectable. He said Johnson does begin his statement by claiming that Anthony Edwards is the most exciting player to watch in the NBA. Before sharing some of his criticism, says that the former Lakers star recognizes the level of talent that Edwards possesses, especially considering that Edwards is serving as the best player on the Timberwolves.
Here's another one. Here's another one that I just found. It said a month after this, Johnson was on Jimmy Kimmel Live, and Edwards' comments were discussed again. The former Lakers guard had a lengthy but simple response this time. Johnson said Edwards should have asked somebody, maybe his father or his grandfather, about some of the players in that era. Johnson began listing names and described them as some of the most dominant players that have ever played. Johnson then took another jab at the lack of winning on Edwards' resume. "You might want to trash talk when you won something," he said. "If this came from some of the guys who just won on the Boston Celtics team, okay, you might want to look at it, but you haven't won anything yet." He also offered advice to the young star. He told them to concentrate on teams like the Dallas Mavericks, who eliminated the Timberwolves in the postseason, rather than what happened in a time you weren't born.
Yeah. So yeah. Now, okay. And this also opens up the doors. Like, wait, why are we having this conversation when we just had a conversation that was supposed to be gearing us toward not comparing other generations so that you could further uplift this generation? But then the door gets opened because after that conversation, somebody says something else. So
You cannot, and this is a part of all this. This is that Pandora. This is that box that got opened up when Channing Frye made the statements that he made a couple of weeks ago, and then LeBron opened it up a little bit further, and other players keep on opening that. You cannot sit there and say, "Don't compare me to the past or to the old ways of the game," but then take shots or try to claim that you're better than the old ways of the game. I saw something today that I meant to send to you before I left from work, where it was a guy that did the thing. He said, everybody sits there and says that this NBA is better, it's more athletic, it's more skilled, but how many players would know the triple threat position and how to score out of it in today's game?
That's a good question.
The position of where you could drop step and and got a layup. You could spin back, hit a three. You can go off the dribble off of it. That same fundamental triple threat that every high school, every junior high school, every club league teaches you in this aspect of it, as long as it's not AAU. They teach you that triple threat in order for you to make that work. And and it was all clips of LeBron, because LeBron still does it. You saw Kobe, you saw Jordan, you saw Magic, you saw everybody. They get into that paint area in that mid-range. No. The triple threat. They knew, if they knew what their scouting report was on there, they knew what move they could do in order to take you and score. Now it's not. You got you have power forwards and centers that they love saying that they're a stretch because they can shoot. Yeah, that's fine. But the thing about stretching something out is that when you let it go, it goes back to this original form. And if it's your original form is being able to move and pivot in the paint or around there, a lot of them can't do it. A lot of them don't have a basic sky hook. A lot of them don't know how to use it off the glass in order to get their shots in. All they know is I got touch. That's why I always have said this. You get somebody, if somebody comes up in college right now that is legitimately 6'10", 6'11", 255 with fundamentals down there on the block, they're gonna dominate every 7'1", 7'2", 7'3" person they got in there. Because yeah, you might pull me out in order for me to guard you on the perimeter, but if you sit up there and give me the ball down on the post, I'm gonna wear you out to where you're not gonna have the legs to be able to shoot them jump shots later on in the game.
Mm-hmm.
That's why when you hear Shaq, when you hear Mumbles McGillicuddy sit there and say, well, I will dominate this league, he's not lying. If you put Shaq, Olajuwon, Patrick Ewing, shoot, you can even put what is it? Who else?
David Robinson.
Kevin Willis. You even could put Tim Duncan in there, Mr. Fundamental. In this era, in his prime, you wouldn't have no GOAT talk. That's who would be dominating. Because you couldn't do anything, if anything from inside that 3-point range you wouldn't be able to do anything with nobody, with none of them centers in that. Plus, he had the athleticism to where if you wanted to pull, he could swat you on the 3-point line.
And whether you put him a small forward or power forward, Charles Barkley,
right?
Kemp,
Right. That's what I'm saying. I get it. I get the arguments. Everybody, you can't not have the arguments. So a lot of the sensitivity, I'll hope and I pray that I thought it was going away, but it seems like it's still there.
No, it's going to be there.
It's going to be there, but it's not going to be. It all this is going to do, it gives us good things to talk about, but at the end of the day, it kind of cheapens the aspect of the comparisons, because last time I checked, anything that I touch, I want to be the best ever that did it. And if you want to compare me in that aspect of it, yeah, I'm gonna compare myself, because that's the goals I'm trying to reach in order to get that. I'm not taking it as a slight. If you put me in the same context as these people that are Hall of Famers, multiple champions, things of that nature, I'm gonna take that as one, a sign of respect, and two, as a premise of what goals I still need to reach. Not I'm sitting up, not you talking about that, man. I ain't did that, and most of them ain't done enough in this aspect of it. Out of everybody that's in this generation that has some room to talk about anything that they have done in their career, that they could sit there and compare it to the people of age, it's only two players that can do that right now. And that is LeBron and Steph Curry. Everybody else, you can't say anything about being the best, about being the top, about doing this. Oh, and one other person that if they finish off the season will be able to compare themselves to one of the greats, and that's SGA. That's it. The MVPs, yeah, you got MVPs, but you got one. Think about your last 3 MVPs. One of them has only got 1 ring. The other one barely plays. And then you got Giannis that was in there. Giannis got a ring. But has anybody been dominant? Has there been any dominant team since the Warriors, Cavs era, the Warriors, Cavs, Miami era? No. It's a toss-up every year.
All right. Now we're gonna move on to the NFL real quick, because there's so much going on in the Big East. We gonna take we kind of taking away time from them. So we're gonna hit the NFL real quick.
5 minutes on the NFL. We only give 5 minutes on the NFL.
I can do that real simple. Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson, they, in my personal opinion, they need to retire. Kudos to Minnesota for saying that they are backing off the Aaron Rodgers train because it's taking too long, because they understand draft time is coming. They got things they got to do. They got to try to. They went away from Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold's in Seattle. Okay. So, Aaron, if you're coming, come on. If you're not, okay, you got to think about it. Okay, while you're thinking about it, you figure out who else you're going to, because we got to move on. And we got to move on. We got to figure out things to do. So, kudos to that. I feel bad for Russell Wilson because I feel like, here's the reason why I feel bad for Russell Wilson, because people are not judging that situation fairly. And I've I've talked about it for weeks.
Yeah.
Yes, he fell off, but not only did he fall off, but the offensive line fell off on the running game, which is why he ultimately fell apart, because you can't put everything on him.
Nope.
You had to have a running game. When him and Fields were doing great, the running game was doing good.
And you saw Najee Harris is gone anyway. He signed with the Chargers.
Yeah.
And he took pot shots at Pittsburgh on the way out too.
And
so it's not, when it comes down to that situation, for everybody, and this will tie into the other one real quick that we'll get to, the yay, I was right. When it looks into the situation, everybody wants what they want. Every fan base wants what they want. Everybody will sit there in front of their computer screens, their cell phones, their television monitors, with some of the pundits that have been on television on both Fox and ESPN throughout this whole time frame with free agency. Everybody wants what they want. But the fact of the matter is that if you don't have a clear-cut plan and execute it, it's not going to matter. Pittsburgh made that trade to get DK Metcalf and put him with George Pickens and has nobody to throw them the ball. And of all people, you already doing with 2 crash outs. Of all people that pops in your head to add to that mix to make it to where you have a chance in order to win in that, is Captain Discount Crash Out. Come on now. He's not the same person that was in Green Bay 2 years before he left. He's not that same constant, I'm going to win, I'm in the MVP hunt for it. No matter how you try to skew the numbers toward it to make it seem, well, he was actually kind of good in the second part of New York. That's because all he had to do was really drop back and try to get the ball out of his hands before he got killed. So, yeah, his numbers is going to be there. But he's also throwing 60, 70 times at 42 years old. That's not Tom Brady. That's not TB12. So, no, that's not going to work. And that whole thought process, I want him to go to Pittsburgh. Why? So I can sit there and laugh and legitimately say the Bengals actually executed a plan better than Pittsburgh. And you cannot continuously, Pittsburgh fans, I love y'all to death. Some of you are some of my best friends in my life. But the fact of the matter is that you cannot hold on to a championship, 1 championship, 2 championships really, since 1978. You hold on to that. You hold that over everybody's head. We got 6 championships. You've won 2 in the last 40 years. In my lifetime. We haven't won anything. That's why I don't sit there and brag about it. But what I will brag about is that I called it, folks. I called it. I sat there and said, everybody, be easy, chill. Bengals got a plan. No, we got to do this. Why they do that? Oh, they doing wrong by T. Higgins. Oh my God. They should have signed them. The only mistake that they made, and I've said that numerous times on this show, the only mistake that they made, and it literally cost them $5.25 million per year, was not signing Chase last year. But they even tried with doing that. And Chase has admitted that they tried to do it, but they couldn't get the math right before the season. So that's the only thing that they messed up. I said on this show, if you can get Chase, keep your promise, sign him to make him the highest non-quarterback in the league, and get Higgins to take less than $30 million a year, that's a win-win. And what did they do? Exactly what I said. So now you have both. You have made Burrow happy. Oh, and by the way, and we were talking about this yesterday, and you did all of this without Burrow having to even try to adjust his contract yet to where he can adjust it and give you more money. So if that is the case, then what in the heck is the problem? Everybody this morning on all the shows were saying only one person came out and said, I applied for Cincinnati Bengals. And that was Stephen A. Smith. Everybody else immediately flipped the switch to where, oh my God, now what they're going to do about the defense?
What they gonna do about the offensive line?
What they going to do about the offensive line? You got the money in order to do that. You have the money now. Free agency, people, you have to understand something. Free agency is about who's available. If there's nobody available that's better than what you have in-house, that you're not about to pay, everybody that got signed that was in those positions that they need in the aspect of it got signed to deals comparable to what they just signed Chase and Higgins. So if you would have went out and signed one of those players in that aspect of
Which is what I said.
but
Before free agency even came,
Right.
I said they can't sign everybody in free agency because a lot of them want the bag.
Right. So if you go out there and you go sign one of these players in this aspect of it, and you don't get Chase you get Chase, you don't keep T, then it's, oh my God, they didn't do right by T.
All right.
It blows my mind. There will be more about this. I'm going to end up blogging about it because I last night, me and this man, when the news broke, I was messaging him until almost 11:30, 12 o'clock last night, going back and forth on it because I knew it was coming. I didn't know how bad it was. I'm at a point now to where I'm on X and I'm calling out pundits on ESPN, on tweets. I don't care. They're not going to come and find me. They don't want that smoke. So it is what it is. I don't like it when people that don't know the culture and don't understand everything from outside like to want to interject and say, well, what about this? What about this? Because the last time I checked, didn't Philly defense look like a horrible train wreck the season before last? And what did they do in the draft? Didn't they draft Cooper DeJean? Didn't they draft another cornerback? Didn't they rebuild their defense they got the linebacker that was on special teams from there in the aspect of it?
But the argument there, and we kind of losing time on the NCAA, but the argument there is the scouting, the scouting department
Right.
for the Bengals apparently needs an upgrade.
That's one. And then two, a lot of the changes that got implemented in this season, that was Vic Fangio's first year with them. And he took them to a Super Bowl. Let them work. Stop sideshow quarterbacking it. And you don't know the particulars.
And you're not paying attention.
And you're
to
not paying attention to the big picture.
All right. And with that, we got to move on to the Big East. To anybody that saw me kind of looking down and I had my phone up like this, I got to be honest. I was watching the Big East
This man catching
championship.
up on basketball.
Yeah, I was watching the Big East championship. I was trying to watch and see how St. John's ended up winning that game. The one thing I seem to notice about all of the Big East games, except for that one and maybe the who was it? The Creighton UConn game.
Nah.
Whoever was blowing somebody out in the first half ended up losing the game. And these two games were the only two.
No, because Creighton and UConn, I watched that entire game. Creighton and UConn went on a run and made that game close, but they ran out of gas.
They ran out of gas. The chemistry with McNeely back, like Caravan kind of took a back seat when McNeely came back compared to what I noticed of him when he was hurt. So so the chemistry wasn't completely there. Mr. Jemiah Neal, I like you, but that last dunk was not needed.
Oh no, he came out in the presser after that and apologized for it. He apologized for it. And I sat up when it
McDermott,
happened.
you got after him.
Yeah, McDermott did what he was supposed to do, and he said that. But you guys but this is also a part of the thing where we talk about the passion that these players play with, and UConn had been kicking everybody's butt in the Big East. So the kick the bully.
Yeah, and that's what he was doing.
That's what he was doing
because the referee, he was walking down all slow. Even the referee was not expecting him to do. And I'm sitting up here and I'm seeing him bouncing it like this, and I'm like, no. No.
Yeah.
I mean, because technically I had heard about it. I watched it on the replay. I heard about it before I actually watched it. And then I saw but even in seeing how he did, I'm like, oh, so there was no doubt what you were going to do.
Yeah, he collected himself before he went in and do it.
Like, this is going down.
UConn is out of here real quick. It was
and Diarra.
Oversensitive.
I like Diarra's energy because he pushed him
and then squared it up. He pushed him. It was almost one motion. It was like, wow.
All he did was open his mouth. All Neal did was open his mouth, and he was just.
Real quick. It was hilarious watching that live.
But okay, in the actual game, sportsmanship is a thing, but everybody knows my personal competitive side. You don't want it to happen. Stop it.
Exactly.
and that's not good sportsmanship, folks. That's not good sportsmanship.
No, it's not. So now, my question to you, and I meant to message you about this yesterday. The controversy about North Carolina.
Okay. I read up on it a little bit. Boise State's name is now also being thrown in it besides West Virginia. I read up on that.
Indiana, Ohio State, and Indiana, all of those teams, they was in there.
So you all know that there's going to be some bias, and you know that this is what happened here. You know it. It's like West Virginia, North Carolina. Who got more oomph? Not to mention something that I read, which they should come up with a rule. If you are part of any college in the NCAA, you should have zero to do with the selection committee.
Oh, no. Okay, so, and I knew that one was, I had thought that was coming out. They went through and they talked about it afterwards on CBS. They talked about it again on ESPN with that aspect of it. Yes, their AD is the president of the selection committee. Their AD was not allowed, and their head of security came out and said he was sequestered away from them whenever they talked anything about North Carolina.
Yeah, but he's the president.
Right, but he could not. That is a part of the bylaw.
But he's the president.
I get that. But if that's the case, then because here's the problem with that aspect of it. You made that committee, and everybody came together and made that committee up to where you had people that were athletic directors, former coaches, people that are in the media in the aspect of it in order to make that committee up. If you take it to where if there's never going to be any clear cut, because most of the people that are the ADs that are in there are also part of the conferences that are putting the people that's in the group.
And to me, they should do formers.
And I get that.
Everybody should be formers. That way,
but you're still gonna have some time,
right? But if something comes up, but if you're a former, you're not directly involved.
True.
And that way, you can say whatever you want. They're a former. The reason why they're there is because they have some experience in it.
Yeah.
Let them have some experience, but let them be a former, because if you're a current and then something like this happens, they got in there because of the president was on the committee, and it's like, wait, what? Why are you here? It's like, yeah, but he was no. Why is he here? Why is he here to open the door for that excuse? And if he's never there, if the ADs are never currently a part of it, then that argument ain't fair because all they are is their former ADs, their former presidents that have been in the college realm.
Yeah.
I get it. You want people from the college realm. Okay, get people from the college realm, but preferably get people that are former, not current. That way you don't open the excuse box because bottom line, there's gonna be bias. Life ain't fair. There's gonna be bias. I'm not saying, trust me, I have anybody that has had a chance to check out any of my podcast knows how I felt about my Tar Heels this year. I haven't been feeling them much.
And
And
you
it's
know
like,
me as a Tar Heels fan, I've been saying I ain't been feeling them. This has been a bad year for me. My Tar Heels and my Bearcats have sucked.
now, real quick before we get to the brackets, because time is winding down. With all this talk, I get all the talk about the ACC and them clearly being the stronger of all the conferences. But how dangerous is Duke looking when they basically been playing without Flag?
They look dangerous. They look better. But here's my thing. They almost lost to Carolina. If it wasn't for that lane violation, they were up by almost 20 on Carolina and almost lost that game.
I get it. So usually when I'm watching a game, and especially when I see somebody lose a lead, I don't know what it is with these college teams. They have this knack for stopping doing what brought them. You do the penetration and you're doing the threes. And you get to the point to where for some odd reason, maybe you get tired, whatever it is, all of a sudden you just like, okay, we just going to slowly shoot threes. We're not going to set them up. A lot of
not running no plays.
And
it's
come
dribble
down
off the ball or one pass and up up chucks the boogie.
Yeah, and I don't care if it's them. I don't care if it's Creighton. I don't care if it's some SEC game I watch. I don't care if it's an Ivy League game I watch. Yes, I literally there was times on ESPN
it was Ivy League games.
There was Ivy League games that I was able to watch. So, but they all seem to do the same thing. They dominating. But if they dominating early in the game, somewhere between where they were dominating early in the game and toward the end of the game, something's gonna happen where, and that's why I said they should have won that last game. But Davis was the only consistent, and had he not been the only consistent, yes, they would have won that game. But in my personal opinion, and no, it's not just because they're my guys. The reason why they would have won that game would have been not because of something that you should kind of quote unquote look at Duke kind of sideways about. They had the players. Carolina had the players with the talent to be something.
Was not a team.
To make it more of back in the day, like Smith versus Coach K. Get my popcorn ready. Yeah. I saw it, but I also saw that they weren't living up to that potential, and that's what pissed me off about them.
And it comes down to
in that second game, they played with a fire, and Davis was the fire starter, but unfortunately, the other players that should have, Cadeau and a few of the others, didn't go, okay, we're going to keep this fire burning. Mm-hmm. So eventually.
But see, and that was what was crazy about this game on Friday night with them in that aspect of it, because Davis was horrible. Davis didn't make a shot. But the team fought back outside of them and got them to that point. It was just one boneheaded decision that cost them the chance to tie that game up. And that's why when it comes to Duke, everybody's been saying it. Cooper Flag has to play, because realistically, Duke, once they get to that Mississippi Baylor game, or they go up against Arizona in that Sweet 16, They need Cooper Flag clicking.
Oh, and by the way, here's another thing that people ain't factoring in. Before the conference championship started, it was specifically said, and I quote, if North Carolina makes it to the Duke game, win or lose, they are in the conference championship.
Yep.
They said it. And I remembered that, and not to cut you off, but
No.
that's also would explain it, because it was predicted. They said win or lose. They didn't say that North Carolina had to win. They said if North Carolina made it to Duke in the conference championship, whether they won or whether they lost, they're more than likely getting it
Into the tournament.
And they did.
So
and that's what they did. So
and you can't, and I'm never gonna knock it when it comes to North Carolina making it, knowing that they were 68th out of 68,
and they were also kind of ranked on the, what is the
there's multiple metrics.
The Chem Pod or Chem something?
There's multiple aspects of it that they did on that. But the biggest thing was that what the last thing on this subject, the one thing that they have to go to next year when they deal with this is that if you're not going to hold everybody to the same standard on quad one wins, which are wins against teams that are in the tournament, as a way to rank the teams that are on the bubble in that aspect of it, then you might as well take the quad system out of there. Because for North Carolina only have wins against American, which wouldn't have gotten in if they didn't win their conference tournament, and UCLA, and you got into the tournament, that makes it to where it's not a feasible thought process in there.
You know, at the end of the day,
I know what it is.
The name gets you in.
Yeah,
the name and the reputation gets you in. That's going to be a huge part of it. And speaking of, Speaking, I'm surprised nobody is. Last I checked, if a number one team lost the way Auburn did consistently, how were they still number one? I'm not saying they're not in the tournament.
Because realistically, if there's been one consistent throughout this whole season, and that aspect of it was the fact that no matter if Auburn's on a losing in a losing kind of slump right now, but the beginning part of that year when everybody kept on transferring back and forth, if Auburn took a hit, they bounced back and ran people and went back up to number one. Then they took another hit. But Auburn being the overall number one seed this year means absolutely squat, because the team that looks the most dangerous out of everybody right now is Florida. Florida, watching their last two games in the SEC championship game against Tennessee and the game against Alabama, and knowing how they've been running people, that's my pick to go all the way. I don't see anybody, if they are still clicking like this, I don't see nobody stopping them.
If St. John's can stop with the slow starts, if they can stop with the slow starts,
that's the problem. You cannot have a slow start with Florida.
Yeah. They if they could stop with the slow starts and just play their game, I believe that they can make some noise.
But this, you want to know what the other thing about this bracket and I have not done my official one yet. I've been glancing at it. You're going to see a lot of 5 and a lot of 6 seeds drop. They're not going to make it. I'm sorry. I watched the UC San Diego game when they won their conference championship. Michigan ain't making it out of their first round. That's my first upset that I saw. I don't think Michigan's going to make it. I don't think Texas A&M might lose to Yale. And Yale already pulled off an upset last year. Texas A&M might lose. I was sitting there jotting down who I thought was going to be upsets. I don't think Memphis. If their star player is still out, Colorado State got a means to take in that one. Where was the other one?
Shout out to Penny for winning Coach of the Year, by the way.
Yeah, definitely shout out to Penny on that one. I think Oklahoma might end UConn's bid for a 3-peat first round. I don't see it. This is where all that stuff is in there. My Oregon Ducks. I'm wearing green today. I don't think.
Okay, so watching UConn, as good as Dan Hurley is, I wonder if his whole attitude of so a lot of the teams, a lot of these teams, like all the crying and moaning for fouls. I'm wondering if that mentality is in the players' heads because they have a talented team. But like I said, I think part of it is McNeely. McNeely coming back kind of put Caravan in a spot, and they never figured out the chemistry to where they both could be dangerous at the same time. Kind of like with this whole thing with LeBron and Doncic.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they're both good players and they both can score, but can they score in a perfect chemistry
with the aspect of
because they have the players to do something.
But you know what?
But I just to sit there and I watch them play, and I see what they're good at, and I see them not doing it, and it's like Reed. Reed left Michigan, went to UConn.
Mm-hmm.
He's a problem, but you got to consistently be able to have him in the game. But how can you do that when you got to try to make sure that McNeely is getting touches and getting points? You got to make sure the Caravan is getting touches and getting points. Solo ball, I'm trying to figure out why he's so hyped up. It's not. I'm not saying he's not good at all, but at the same time, it's like, dude, what?
When it comes to Dan Hurley in this aspect of it, part of me, realistically looking at this, thinks that the Lakers' pursuit of Hurley to become their head coach opened up a window into how Hurley's mentality was, especially with him really beating his chest, saying, I'm the best college basketball coach out right now.
Mm-hmm.
And again, ego comes before the fall.
Mm-hmm.
And you said that at the beginning of the season, and this team has not looked like it's anywhere remotely dangerous enough to even three-peat. And you've lost. It doesn't seem like you have a good connection with your team in order to try to get the most out of it. That's why I said I have no problem with saying Oklahoma might take them out first round. And if they take them out first round, are you still the best coach in the world in the game right now? Because if the Lakers end up going further, then your UConn team.
No, we can't do that.
Yes, you can.
No, you cannot.
Yes, you can.
No, you cannot.
Yes, you can. Because the reason why.
Okay, you can do it.
You can do it.
But it ain't gonna make sense. It's like no.
Because my whole thing is that in hindsight's always 20/20. If you was to tell Dan Hurley at the end of the season, you had the option, you got underneath this thing here, you got first round exit and all the discombobulation of your college team that you went back to, versus in this aspect having the chance to be at one of the most prestigious teams in the NBA with who people have deemed as the greatest of all time, and who people have deemed is the European heir apparent on the same squad. Which one would you choose? Especially with your ego. Right, like big city Hollywood.
But that was the thing. I think if LeBron had been there, but Doncic was, I think he would have took it.
Yeah, I think he would have too. I'm not saying that in that aspect. That's why I'm saying hindsight.
I think
I'm saying hindsight
because
but
LeBron was there.
But you know in the back of your mind as a coach, sometimes in those nights when you're sitting there and things are not going right, your team ain't clicking. Y'all ain't getting none of the notoriety. It was UConn versus everybody for the past 2 years. And now it's just, you're not even the top in your own conference.
Yeah.
You know, in some of those nights, he's probably sitting there up there like, damn, that look real good. That's girl sexy over there.
Yeah. But with that, unfortunately,
An hour goes past too fast.
Yes.
It goes past too fast. We're going to figure this out. Because the hour, it's getting ready to get warm. I mean, y'all might catch me on a remote on a beach somewhere. I mean, I'll do it on the beach. I'll just iPads and everything in the aspect of it.
But with that, I'm Dante Suave. This is Mr. J.
Everybody have a great week. Enjoy the true holiday. Super Bowl is somewhat of a holiday, but the true holiday is calling in sick on Thursday and Friday with the flu and saying, I can't talk, I can't do anything, and sitting in front of your TV for almost 16 hours of straight basketball for 4 days straight. God, I miss it.